How about you, Jason? What was the earliest Porsche that you remember seeing on TV or in a movie or something like that?
I'm sure there were earlier ones.
You've been sitting here for an hour and a half knowing that we were going to talk about this, and you have no idea. All right, welcome back to another edition of Dur or Die. My name is John Polnik. I'm your host, coming to you from the Las Vegas Container Park in beautiful downtown Las Vegas, along with my partner, Duane Wik.
Hello.
How are you, Duane?
Excellent, JP. Thank you for hosting. As per usual, this studio you have here, I got to tell you, it's beautiful. Got sound padding, professional microphones. It's fantastic. I love what you're doing here.
Careful touching that wall. Those sound panels just like fall down all
randomly.
the time. Our good friend Rami Mirza. This is Rami Studio, by the way.
I should be thanking Rami.
That cheap bastard, because these panels keep falling down all the time. Of course, he was the one that told me to get the more expensive ones, but I cheaped out, so sorry about that, Rami. No, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like the studio. We're doing this show a couple times a week, so hit the subscribe, like, and notification button now if you haven't already. Also, we want to shout out to Mental Ward, our producer in the can. How you doing, Michael? Mental Ward, how are you over there?
I am fired up, motivated, ready to record an awesome podcast.
If you haven't checked out his podcast, Everyone Racers, check that out. We have a studio audience of a couple of D-bags today. These two dipshiz, I don't know, man. There it is. We got Jason Adine, a.k.a. Jason Alter, and Chef William from Vegas Auto Fest in the house. How you guys doing?
Yo, hey, isn't Vegas Auto Fest coming soon?
Vegas Auto Fest on the 17th of September is coming up in just a couple months.
It's going to be awesome.
Dude,
I got to register.
Have you registered your car?
I forgot. I need to register.
You do need.
Do you know anybody that can?
I
know a few people. I don't know if I can.
If you are in Vegas and you're a car enthusiast, register now. Get your car in there. If you're from out of town, if you're in California, I think we have rates for people who are out of town. We want to encourage more out-of-staters to come in and.
I'm from California actually,
yeah,
so
sure, try it.
I would argue if you're just like cool shows, you should totally come check this out because it's at the
even if you don't have a car,
it's a gorgeous
it's
setting.
amazing. Yeah.
I happen to have this beautiful flyer here that tells you all about it.
Wow,
looks quite good.
Look at that. That's the advertising.
I'm excited for it, though.
Sponsor deck. Very nice.
Vegas girls? Are there
Vegas girls will be there. The Rami cheerleaders will be there. There's going to be stilt walkers. I mean, it's a Vegas thing, man. You think you've been to a car show? You think you've been like Works Reunion, or you've been to Monterey Car Week or Amelia Island or whatever. All that stuff's all stuffy, and people are like, a
lot of pleated pants.
Show. Yeah, exactly. Our show, it's Vegas. This is a
Vegas,
unique
baby.
experience.
That's right.
Chef,
Everyone
tell us about
loaded.
Vegas Auto Fest. What do you got?
Vegas Auto Fest is the ultimate community car show where all car clubs, styles of cars, anyone that loves a car is welcome to bring out their car and see it on the beautiful grass that we would never be able to touch in our lifetimes with our cars.
It's a golf course, people.
Yeah.
They don't just let cars on the golf course, typically.
Yeah, we put cars in the sand traps. We put like vehicles up on the hills and stuff like that.
Rami parked his G-Wagon in the lake.
Yeah, I think we're going to have jet skis in the lake this time or something like that. No, we're going nuts with it, dude.
You had me at jet skis.
Motorcycles this year, too. Motorcycles are welcome to Vegas Auto Fest. So if you have a really cool bike or a side-by-side or an overland rig, we've got all kinds of really cool off-roady areas to display. So
Sweet.
Check out Vegas Auto Fest.
I got to tell you, I researched the bike from Top Gun because they used the same bike in the sequel, right, in Maverick. And I was like, so this is a cool bike. I don't know. I know Jack
Kawasaki Ninja 900.
So I was going to say, JP, you've had quite a few, like sport bikes, right?
Back in the day.
Kind of like that, what's special about that bike. And to me, when I did the history on it, I think it was one of the first like super bikes. Basically, it was like a super high powered.
The Ninja was kind of like the first bike that had the plastic on it. That was the big thing back in the 80s, was when they started putting fairings on motorcycles. Before that, most motorcycles didn't have that kind of integrated thing. And the thing is about the 900 though, is it wasn't a full fairing. It was kind of a half fairing.
Yeah.
But
It
most,
still looks like an 80s.
Yeah, that kind of,
bike.
it was kind of a hybrid,
Right.
whereas the 600 Ninja was a full fairing bike. Jason, was
Have
there
you
a full
ridden one?
fairing bike? Oh yeah. Was there a full fairing bike before the Ninja that you can think of? Was the Katana earlier?
No,
But that wasn't
not
full fairing either.
Both the Katana and the Interceptor were bikini fairings.
Yeah. So the 900 Ninja was more like the Interceptor and the early Katanas, where, like you said, it was a bikini fairing. But the Ninja 600 was that first full plastic all the way around it. And once those hit the ground, man, that changed everything for sport bikes. I mean,
I can't ride them because my legs drag on the ground. I'm so tall.
You
it's
need
just
a
out of
big
the
leader
question.
bike or something from that era. Those things were pretty huge. You'd be just fine.
But I
on
mean,
those.
even a noob like me noticed. I was like, oh, that's the same bike.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool detail.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, we all, we're remarking about the 73 911 that makes a brief appearance at the very end of the film. So that brings us into today's topic, which is pop culture Porsches. Okay, so I'm actually originally wanted to do just air-cooled 911s, but I thought I would open it up to 928s, 914s, obviously air-cooled 911s. If you can think of a cool 996, 997, or water pumper, throw it in there. But basically what I want to talk about are Porsches that are in pop culture that made an impact on us as individuals, both in wanting to buy one or just seeing that, iconic car in a film and saying, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything that comes to mind immediately? Jason is pouring himself a drink over here. So
That's a great thing
So I'm
about
gonna
this,
take a-
about the studio is that we do this at night here in the Container Park in Las Vegas, and we have at it at the drinks.
What are you drinking, Jason?
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Monster
Oh.
juice with vodka.
Oh, okay. You redeemed yourself the last second.
He's yeah. Okay.
What's the first Porsche that comes to mind when you think of like a famous film, or this could, I want to open this up to like Instagram, social media, like TikTok even. Like, is there now stuff that we're seeing?
I mean, you go from modern era to original stuff. I mean, I remember being a kid, the first time I ever recognized a classic Porsche. Of course they weren't classic back then. I'm old, right? So I remember the first time seeing a Porsche on TV and going, wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That, I guess that's a
Porsche
Porsche
commercial, or
no, it was an episode of probably the greatest television show of all time. The show that had the superior Heather. Incorrect. The answer is Fall Guy.
Oh my God, I love
Fall Guy is the greatest television show of all time. And
Heather Thomas.
Heather Thomas, that is correct. She was the correct Heather. Everyone was all gaga over Locklear, but it was like, no, Thomas is
Heather Thomas
is the Heather of we're getting some So look up Heather Thomas. I had all her posters on the wall. There's the famous one where she had the pink bikini in the hot tub.
Yeah,
and
you still hold that up with one hand.
Right, and I had them all. I found them all. I had them on the ceiling. It was crazy. But no, that show, there was an episode where there was a purple, it was probably Abergine or whatever, but there's a purple turbo running through the desert being chased by,
I have
Seaver's
seen
truck.
that clip.
Yeah. It's a classic classic episode. I remember just going, oh my God, that thing is so badass. Because back in the 80s, I grew up in a small town. There were no Porsches there. Everyone was into Trans Ams, and Knight Rider was the big show on TV,
right.
And everyone was like, oh, the stupid Pontiac. But no, seeing that, the flares, and it was like, oh gosh, that thing's totally different.
Right.
And that was it. It was like, okay. After that, every one I saw on the road was like zeroed into it.
The recipe for 80s car half-hour or 1-hour TV show is basically jump the crap, ever-living crap out of that car, whatever car it is. Knight Rider, Fall Guy, obviously Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, they would jump every car. Mental, what's on your mind?
So you guys, you bring up the Fall Guy, which was a brilliant TV show. And of course, if you go back and watch it, which you all should, that initial jump of the truck during the opening credits, when it lands, you can see the front axle literally split. And that's the joy of all of those 80s shows, all of your Stephen J. Cannell, Hardcastle and McCormick,
Oh yeah,
Automan, all of those cars is they just did it.
Yeah.
They just launched
No
these
CGI,
things, and they're
baby.
none of that. And people were notoriously, like getting injured doing this kind of stuff. And the Fall Guy, they had 10 of those GMC trucks. When the show ended, they gave them all away in a contest, but most of them weren't running because they had beat the
Just
crap out of them.
I'm shocked that they only went through 10. Really?
Well, that was how many were left to give away.
Yeah,
and everyone knows all the folklore of how Dukes of Hazzard famously increased the value of Chargers because they destroyed something, depending on the number, 300 to 30 to almost 400 of those cars during the filming. And when Jake Andishar went to go make the remake of that one, when he told them what it was for, they wouldn't sell him the cars.
Wow. That's
There you go.
that's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't think how many. I can't think of many Porsches that get wrecked. There was
in
one
that clip, and the Fall Guy doesn't.
I'm sure it happened.
I
I'm
thought
just
it
not
went over an
recalling.
embankment in that
Commando,
one, but-
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
Schwarzenegger. Yeah, the
I had to let
Target.
him go.
Yeah, that's a great movie. If you've ever watched that movie, Commando, they're having the car chase with that Targa, the yellow car, and every time you see a different angle of it, in the previous shot you see the whole side
It's
gets
like
wadded.
3 different cars.
Yeah, it had to have been like a dozen cars because like the next
The
angle,
whole
door's
side
fine
is like
and, yeah.
damaged, and then one
The car
side,
was tipped over, and he tips it back over. Yeah,
Yeah.
great 80s stuff.
classic movie. Love that movie.
Blip Shift, who should totally sponsor this program, had a
Totally.
famous shirt of the 8-bit 911 Targa, and it said, remember, or it just says underneath it, I lied, but it's reference to the line of, remember when I said I'd kill you last?
I lied.
Gillian. That's one of our friend Rami's favorite lines. All right. So how about, Chef, what was the first Porsche you remember? Get into the microphone, man.
It was actually a speaker commercial, I think, and it showed us the roof of a Porsche being blown
Oh, it
up.
was the Maxell tapes.
Yeah, Maxell tapes.
It was the
Yeah.
Maxell tapes. It was a print ad. Yeah.
And it was a Porsche
And
with
the
roof,
top was blown off.
the car. And
Yeah. I remember that one. How about you, Jason? What was the earliest Porsche that you remember seeing on TV or in a movie or something like that?
I'm sure there were earlier ones.
You've been sitting here for an hour and a half,
I
knowing that we were going to talk about this, and you have no idea.
just
There's
posted.
so many JPs.
You can't come up with one. I gotta think about it.
Weird science. Weird science. Weird science.
That was it. What, Jake Ryan. He's going.
Shit.
Yeah.
I gotta go with that.
That's
That
a great
is
scene
that
because a
944,
car
yeah.
goes through the frame, and then the 944 is revealed, and it's kind of like this great moment in the film. You know.
Well, okay, so
Jason
let's talk
said-
about the 944 in 16 Candles. As we all know, we talked about this earlier. The whole reason why the nerd wound up driving the Rolls Royce was because he didn't know how to drive a stick, and presumably the 944 was a manual. And then you see in the final scene of the movie, or the penultimate scene of the movie, really, when Jake sticks his head out the window, that in fact the car is an automatic.
Right.
What a letdown. Auto tragic.
99% of the people did not know that until now. So
yeah, well, there I just
we were-
ruined your childhood. Sorry.
we were talking about Knight Rider. There's actually a weird clip from Knight Rider of alternative fuel cars. The Porsche is electric. So he races like a Charger, a Porsche, Japanese import. And
right. That popped up on the internet recently, I think.
I posted on my Instagram. That's probably where you saw
why
it. But
popped up recently. That's where
Yeah.
this whole thing came from.
Hey,
But-
what is your Instagram? Because folks should totally be following your awesome
it's just
Instagram.
my name, Duane Wik. I
Duane
keep it
Wik.
simple. It's really hard to spell though because there's
And
no,
I usually put that information in the information below the video, guys.
There you
So
go.
if you want to link
follow
to
me on Instagram.
Wik's Garage or Instagram or any of our
Yeah.
Instagram stuff, you can find us there.
We talked about Scarface, where he buys he walks by all these beautiful 911s, and then he buys a 928. Is it?
In Scarface,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's always douchebags that drive Porsches. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
In particular, one of the most ultimate douchebags is one of the best. Also, okay, the best movie of all time is Old School. There can be no debate
love Old
about
School.
that.
I
But
laughed so
everyone
hard
in the
when I
room
first
is
saw that.
agreeing, except the people that don't know better.
No way.
Yeah, like anything. Old School, greatest movie of all time.
I don't remember a Porsche in
Yeah,
that
the
until you're about to tell
douchebag
me.
in that movie,
I got one.
The former host of the Daily Show.
Craig Kilborn.
Oh, that's right. He cheats on.
He cheats on
That's
the love
right.
interest, and at the
Yes.
end of the movie, during the credits, He's driving a red SC, smoking a cigarette, listening to like Warrant. Is it Warrant or Whitesnake? Probably
It's
Warrant.
probably Winger.
Whitesnake.
It's Winger.
No, it
Probably
wasn't- no,
Winger.
it was Warrant. I'm pretty sure it's
Whitesnake.
Warrant.
Yeah.
Maybe Whitesnake. I don't know.
Whitesnake.
Here I go again on my own.
Yeah,
What-
that's
who's that?
Whitesnake.
Is that Whitesnake? Okay.
Mhm.
Tawny
Tawny.
Katane was
Yes.
not on the hood, but he's driving. The cigarette drops, and he's like trying to find it. And by the time he looks up, he loses control, and he goes off the bridge and winds up crushing the dean who's fly fishing.
All right.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Right
On that
before we-
note,
Hmm?
Tawny Katan tie-in. What about Bachelor Party?
Bachelor
Also-
Party, the target that
also-
they,
Okay.
they
Oh, I
talked
don't
about
remember
Claudia
that.
The
Portia.
D-bag.
Yeah,
I'll give you that one.
Douchebag. See, there you go.
I-
Freedom,
I-
my
I
friend,
have-
Jason.
We were having this conversation before we started recording, but I do have a counter to the D-bag argument that probably proves the rule. In the episodes of the Hardy Boys with Sean Cassidy
Way back.
in 1979 has one of the earliest 928s because he's using it to trap a bad guy that
Mm.
had killed his girlfriend.
Nice meta. It's like when you
That was
watch
a
an
deep
old
cut.
like Rockford Files, or anytime you're watching the old shows, every now and then you see a 914 in the background or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, oh my gosh, look at that. But now they're popping up in all kinds of new stuff. So maybe we could talk about some of the newer, more recent Porsches to pop up in current culture right after this. Okay, guys, I want to tell you about Vegas Auto Fest. The drivers are coming. This is one of our big sponsors. It's the biggest car show of the year in Las Vegas. It's one of the coolest car shows you can possibly experience anywhere. If you haven't made plans to be part of Vegas Auto Fest on September 17th, then do it now. Go to vegasautofest.com and register your car. You think you're a car enthusiast? Doesn't matter where you live. Plan a trip to Vegas on September 17th and come out and see this show. It's like Monterey Car Week all in a day. Have you ever been to the Quail? Have you ever been to Works Reunion? Have you ever been to Amelia Island? All those car shows are amazing and great. Have you been to Luftkult? Sure, but Vegas Auto Fest is something special. Make a plan for September 17th. We'll see you in Vegas. Hey, welcome back, guys. Who's wearing a Guy's Customs bracelet? I know I am. Matches my marathon watch here. How about you? Who's got one? I know Chef has one, but he's not wearing it tonight. Mental, you got yours?
Absolutely matches my Tag Heuer Formula One Golf color.
Very nice. All right.
I don't wear any jewelry because I work with my hands and my man tools.
You're a watch
welding.
guy. You like watches.
I do.
but I haven't seen you wear one.
It's because I am saving up for a very special watch that
Nice.
may or may not happen. We'll see.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll wish you luck. All right. So before the break, we were talking about Porsches. They're showing up in Porsches that kind of like maybe inspired us to buy cars or to get into Porsche. I don't know. How about you guys? Is there a specific Porsche that you remember growing up that like made you say, oh my gosh, I have to have one of these? Let us know in the comments below right after you hit subscribe, like, or the notification button.
I got to jump in before we go to the new stuff. Bad Boys,
Yeah.
right? One of
Sure.
the most famous. It's a, what is it? A 964 turbo, black.
Yep.
Yep. And they say it's a limited edition in the
Which
movie.
it is.
Well,
Well, I mean,
Sort of.
there just weren't
it's not
that
the
many
one
of
of
the
14.
3.6s.
It's like
Yeah.
one of 1,100. But
Sure.
still, I mean, would I turn down a
A
black-
3.6 is far more rare than the 3.3 turbo 964s.
Yeah.
Chef wants to hop in there. Chef, what do you got?
Well, it's not in a movie, but as a movie star, is there any Porsche more iconic than the James Dean 550 Fastback?
Yeah,
That's a
true.
good point. That's
The
a good
550
point.
Spider.
Like not bringing that up seems to be kind of
Remiss.
You know,
Yeah.
how would we not?
That had to be the first famous Hollywood Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we stay on the old one. I mean, look, as a Gen Xer, Dylan from 90210 rocked the
Yes.
356.
And he was cool, man.
And we were talking about Top Gun at the beginning of the show. There was the 356.
Yeah.
Kelly McGillis drove that car, which, by the way, was a replica.
It was, yeah.
And now in the new Top Gun movie,
The
there's
73.
a 73 911. I mean, that's the thing. The classic cars are popping up in new movies. Porsche's kind of like, that's a great thing about 911s. They're just like, they're timeless.
Yeah.
They're like a Rolex Submariner. They're just like, it's always.
I like that analogy because David Duchovny drives one in Californication.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a Rolex in my mind. It's like it speaks to his personality. Like it's a quality item, but he drives the crap out of it, and it's like a total beater.
Maybe the coolest guy ever, the coolest character ever, driving the coolest car and cabrio. Mental, what were you going to say?
Well, and not only he
Secret
drives, he actually drives two, because after his second book gets published, he goes and buys another one and
Right.
smashes the
Screenplay
headlight out,
sells.
which
To
which
match.
is it ties into that whole thing about it's a quality item, but he doesn't care about keeping it mint. It's a reflection of his personality.
Yeah.
But in talking about films that influenced us, Weird Science, when they have the 928, which features predominantly as it backs out of the driveway, it's playing Rat. And then, of course,
Oh, nice.
come
Which
on.
Rat song?
Come on, Lise, Wanted Man.
Okay.
Come on, Lise. And they do the burnout in front of the shopping mall after he meets, after the entire
Iron
thing.
Man.
Iron
And
Man has a
they meet Iron Man and all that in there, Robert Downey Jr. But that exhaust note from that 928 is so well done, so well recorded, that is actually the exhaust nose that is used in Pulp Fiction when the NSX accelerates away from the junkyard.
You know, NSXs are fantastic, but God
Not
dang it,
Porsches.
F NSXs, F Acura. Something about that particular era just ticks me off so bad, the NSX. There were so many people. Do you guys know what an asshole is?
No.
Anybody ever heard that term, an asshole? It's an asshole is someone who asks you for advice and then goes and does something different. It's like, why did you ask me my advice?
I'm right here, JP. Stop.
I know that guy right there. So I don't know. It was in the early 90s. I did not have any damn money, but I still had a Porsche. I had either a 914 or a 944 or whatever. I couldn't afford 911s, but I usually had crappy old Porsches. Always drove them anyway. So all my friends who went to college, I didn't. All my friends who were getting their first real jobs and actually making money while I was just a busboy and didn't have S, right? They're
artist's life.
They would come to me and be like, "Oh, you're the Porsche guy. I really want a Porsche. I always wanted a Porsche. Porsche. What Porsche should I get?" So they would just bend my ear. What 911? What Porsche? And we would have these long conversations about what Porsche to get. And then they'd show up in an Integra, or worse, an NSX. Right? It was like, dude, why did you bother me asking me all these?
Only to stoop.
To go get a Japanese car. An NSX is great, but it's not a 911. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So, I just felt like Quentin Tarantino is awesome when it comes to cars because he understands how they played a character.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like that car was just a complete
miscast.
Complete
it was
miss.
completely miscast.
Yeah. On top of which, the Wolf is a effing idiot.
Why is that?
Because he knows the woman is going to get off the bus at a certain time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go get a limo, pick her up. Honey, I'm taking you on a surprise vacation.
You're talking about Tarantino's wife coming home to
Tarantino's wife. Yeah, the whole thing is they're trying to clean up the car and clean up the house in a certain amount of time because they know that the wife is going to come home and she's going to flip the F out because Marvin's brains are all over the car in the garage, right?
Yeah.
Why bother going there? Just cut her off at the pass. He's supposed to be a genius. I'm sitting there going, what are you doing? She's on a bus. She has no control of where she's going.
I never would have thought of that.
I mean, it was 1993. I was sitting in the theater going, what are you doing? What?
I'm a little...
because he's so stupid, he bought an NSX. He's not that bright.
I'm a little put aside because everything you've just said is 100% correct.
God damn, of course. Are you new? Have you ever been
So if you ever need a crime scene cleaned up, contact us at Dur or Die. And our rates are not published in case you're law enforcement.
Why do you think the show's called Dur or Die? Chef, it
was the movie Class with Rob Lowe. When
are you watching this
Rob
show?
Lowe? No, right?
We
No,
were just talking about Tarantino, and now you're just like, there's no segue. You're just going.
No, but he's getting it back on topic. I appreciate that.
He's 100% brilliant. He's brilliant. He's right.
Thank you, Chef.
I mean, that movie's not
Into the microphone, Chef, into the microphone.
By the way, it's a Cabro, and it's Rob Lowe.
In a
Yeah.
Cabro.
And Rob Lowe's
Rob Lowe in a
mother
Cabro.
was hot. As you get, the
In
older
which
you
movie?
get-
What are we talking? Which?
Class.
I haven't seen Class.
Kelly
Never heard of
LeBrock,
College roommate is nailing.
Rob Lowe, Kelly LeBrock, and
Fantastic.
Andrew McCarthy, who is now the infamous has-been.
This is circa 80s. I don't even know.
I-
Oh, that's a great film. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Cabrio.
Cabrio.
Okay, classic.
Yeah.
Should we talk about Porsches in pop culture
Ah,
that
yes.
are not in movies? Like,
Why not?
I'm thinking of Midnight, the infamous street racing car from Japan that became a what is it, like an animated. Do you know what I'm talking about, Mental?
Are you talking about initial? Because you say midnight, because there's also the there's the 911 in Sweden that was Stockholm Escape.
Yeah, it's not that one.
Okay.
Stockholm Escape is awesome, by the way. If you haven't seen Stockholm Escape, that's
The original, because everything afterwards is garbage.
It's garbage. I completely agree.
There's a movie on Netflix or Amazon. I don't even know what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's about.
I know where you're going with this.
What's that? Okay,
The
yeah.
dad and the daughter,
dad and
yeah.
the daughter, and they're in a, it's
That-
like he's a hitman. It starts
Mhm.
out he's like in an M5 in the early part. There's a bunch of really cool classic '80s cars, but in the like climax scene, he winds up in a classic 911.
Yeah, they
and
do
an
a
awesome
Porsche
chase scene. You're like,
chase
where did that
scene.
come from? Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
and the daughter's driving it. That's
What's the
cool.
name of that?
No,
And
no.
who's the actor? I'll have to look
No.
that up.
Wow, because that's impressive because you just stumped JP and me, and we're some serious.
I've
movie
seen the
nerds.
movie and I don't know what the hell
Yeah.
the name. It was one. Of the, it was just not a good movie, but that part
It
was.
was
cool.
Is
I
it
thought it was
is it
decent.
is it the same guy, Jason Bernal from
I
The
have
Walking
no
Dead?
idea who this
Okay,
guy
all right.
was. Total B movie.
We're bad podcasting, please.
Sure. There's so the John Wick 4 trailer,
Yeah.
the first teaser just dropped, and there is a very there's a 911 in that. It hits someone in the street. It's only in there for a brief second,
Mm.
but I feel like Keanu Reeves. He has a 993. There's that famous photo of him that's been going around forever where he's getting
Right.
the Christmas tree and stuff. A
He
lot of
uses his
Hollywood.
993. Like,
Yeah. Well, the Kardashian strumpet. Not the what's
yeah,
the, she has
was
a
seen
993
getting out of-
C4S. Yeah.
okay.
That
She
drives
actually
around.
owns that and drives it.
Tiptronic. Yeah, but whatever. Yeah. Yeah, one of the Kardashian girls. But I feel
Well,
like
wait, Keanu
Huh?
Reeves also he's a character in a video game called Cyberpunk 2077, which was a big game this last year or whatever. In that game, he drives a 930, like
Oh,
a
okay.
custom 930 that I think you can find it and drive it in that game. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
That just underscores because everyone knows Keanu Reeves is a notoriously genuine person. That's why he rides motorcycles, and he just does what he wants. So
Yeah.
of course he has a 911.
Well, but and the cool thing is he doesn't have a GT2 RS.
Mhm.
You know, he has
a run of the mill
a
993.
great it's a fantastic 911, but it's not like again it's the black Submariner, right?
Mhm.
It's the perfect kind of all around everyday, and that's what people love about 911s is you can drive them every day, you can drive them to the track, you can drive all the, as our friend Jackie Braun says, they're so versatile. Check out their Fascination
Love
film
Jackie.
with about
She's awesome.
Solomon when Harry met, or what was it when Saul met? I can't remember.
Helga.
the name of it. Helga met Saul.
Yeah, yeah.
Check out when Helga met Saul.
We got to talk about Nakai-san and RWB because that's a pop
Do we?
culture. Yeah,
Do we?
absolutely we do. Look, there's a lot of hate for
Do
RWB.
we?
I'm personally, would I put black caulking on my car? That sounded weird. No, I wouldn't, because it's terrible. However, he has influenced the pop culture, sphere with his works, along with Magnus Walker. We know,
I'm
with
surprised
the
we haven't
277
seen
car and his whole,
an
entire.
RWB in a movie yet. I can't think of a movie where one has popped up. I mean, a million videos and stuff like that. But
I would submit that both of those situations where you're talking about Magnus Walker and you're talking about the RWB at the time when they were both into their stuff, those were castaway 911s. They were tossed away and the collectors had forgotten about them. And both of those individuals were drawn to them. And it goes back to the episode where we talked about cabriolets versus hardtops, but it was just this, they found them to be this purest expression of driving pleasure. And that's how they got pulled into the entire thing. And the popularity of their enthusiasm influenced the value of the cars, sending them through the stratosphere, which I don't think was either of their intentions.
Well,
I
if
don't
you ask,
think you can attribute the values to either of them. But
I think you can partially attribute it. If you ask a young person under, let's say, 25,
Yeah.
to like if they saw a picture of a bunch of Porsches, they would probably sprinkle in RWB
Sure.
somewhere in there. It's on the collective consciousness of young people.
Yeah.
Same with Magnus Walker. Like he's been in
Yeah.
video games. He's had cool films or whatever.
Okay, so I mean, if you talk about when all this stuff kind of blew up, I mean, you're talking post Great Recession. You prior to and during the Great Recession, 911s were worthless, right? That's when you could buy an SC for 10 grand all day long, no problem. And Nikai-san built race cars, in Asia, right? And so his stuff was not about aesthetics; it was about functionality, which making them wider and lower, and you can fit bigger tires in there and all that kind of stuff. Okay, great, that all makes sense. But then RW. Nikai-san, he capitalized on the aesthetic of the car, which God bless him. I can't blame him for doing that. But his creations take literally 3 days to make, right? He shows up, smokes a bunch of cigarettes, drinks a bunch of scotch, cuts up your car, gets some caulking and whatever, voila, you've got an RWB. You got someone like a Singer or Rob Emery who takes years to restore a car, yet the price values are somehow the same. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, they're not really. I mean,
an RWB is a couple $100,000, where at least 150 nowadays. And a lot of times the RWB cars now, the aesthetic application is that's it. They'll take a stock car. 993s are underpowered, period. But then they make them wider and put all the wings and add all this crap on them. It's like, you are not adding to the functionality of that car. You are definitely diminishing. It's all
wheels and plastic stuff.
It's going to add drag, add weight, not helping the car at all. How many times have we seen, it's totally stock, high mileage 964s with all this crap on them? Now, if you put a turbo in there or do something to the engine and it matches that, you see an RWB, it better blow your wheels off, right? That car
you have to justify those flares.
Right? But if you can leave it there with your typical Civic, then you got a problem.
Your typical Civic,
right? I mean, a modern Civic will blow the wheels off of a 964. Totally.
Yeah.
So, but I actually like RWBs. I like the way they look. I like that aesthetic generally. It's fun. I'm not a purist. But I do think that if you're going to do it, like Rami has that crazy black turbo car. Right, his Turbo 86. I think that would be a perfect car to RWB because it's got 800 horsepower and all the stuff underneath.
Right.
Adding that look to it that matches. But
does he want to sell that, by the way?
No, I don't think so. Otherwise, why you want to buy that thing?
Yeah, I do.
I think it's crazy awesome. Right?
It's got a Patrick Motorsports intercooler and blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah, we can have that. That's a whole other conversation. Whereas Magnus Walker, he came on the scene right when the recovery thing, the economy was getting better, guys our age were coming into money, and we were all going out and getting our cars, and boom, at the same time, Urban Outlaw, the film, came out. It was just right place, right time. And I'm not knocking him at all. He capitalized on
the filmmaker too. I mean, the filmmaker really nailed it on that. And I mean, the follow-ups have been pale in comparison to that original.
Nothing film. It was lightning in a bottle. Right place, right time. And all those cars were coming up in value anyway. And he had a personal style that was kind of cool. But I remember reading articles about him years before.
You did?
I mean, he was in 911 magazine. People were always talking about, this weird guy that shows up. There's a famous picture of him holding a couple of valves over his eyeball. I mean, whatever. So, he was a guy on the scene. If you were kind of in the scene, I wasn't, but because I was in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, he was a big part of PCA. He would race and go to the track, and so all the track guys knew him.
Yeah. And he's still super accessible.
I've met him at Lou 4, went up to him and was like, hey.
I do have his phone number, and at the Singer party at
you got into the Singer party?
Yeah, it was during Car Week. Yeah, I know. It was
Tell Rob to call me.
There was actually a whole thing. That's a whole other story. But we saw him across the pool, and I wish someone. I was like, okay. I told
Give
Mikey,
me a water balloon. Oh,
what's that?
This
No,
is not
I
going
told
where
Mikey
I thought it was going.
I'm like, film Magnus. I'm gonna call him right now, and I want to get footage of him looking at the phone and then turning it off.
Who the F is this?
And I did it, and that's exactly. He looks at it and clicks it off and puts it back in his pocket.
Did it?
We did it, but Mikey didn't get the shot. I'm like, what the? That's a whole other story.
You blew it.
Would have been a great shot. So anyways, no. I don't know. What are any other cars that are like a big deal right now?
Oh man.
We didn't talk about the stupidest Porsche movie of all time, which actually I don't dislike.
yeah.
I actually do like it, but I know the guys wanted to talk about.
I have heavy things to throw at you, so choose your next words
So
carefully.
here's the thing about
He'll throw a monitor.
No Man's Land. It's okay. There's that guy. We all know that guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? He just got into Porsches like 4 days ago. Just discovered air cools, right? And he knows that you're a Porsche guy. And what does he text you? A Magnus Walker video.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. Look how cool this guy is. It's like, yeah, I know. I was around in 2010. I get it.
Right. And then the following Monday, you get the No Man's Land.
You get the No Man's Land.
Video.
It's like, how many times have you seen on the internet, on some Porsche forum, someone sharing freaking No Man's Land? It's like,
There's that one, and
no, there's Porsches in No Man's Land. I have the internet. I get it.
and full
Stop bringing
highway,
it up.
which is
we freaking know. We saw
but
it. It
but
was awesome,
you're judging that film based
I'm
on
not judging the film.
enthusiast.
The film's fine. What I'm judging is people that act like that's culturally significant anymore. It's past. It's done. We know. We get it. It's like Cheetos has flaming hot Cheetos. Yes, we know. Have you seen that commercial? Chester Cheetah. And the guy's like, they got the flaming Cheetos. And Chester's in the back going, yes, we know.
you know
It's like,
Chester
look,
went out
yes.
like 20 years ago,
He's
right?
still on TV, whatever that is. Nobody watches.
No, they have a new Mexican, or I'm sorry, Hispanic rapper guy who does it in his all white sweats, where he drags the stuff across.
They
there.
have a new mascot
Racist.
or a new character that's
Oh, he's
Pimpin' Cheetos?
he's like a totally pop culture guy. Like
But Chester's still on the bag.
that's true. Chester is still on the bag.
Have you been to Walmart lately?
No, no.
I went
No,
to
I have
Walmart.
not.
Long story. I was
I
at
hate
Walmart, and I wound up in the aisle with macaroni and cheese. Right? You've got like the Kraft macaroni. You got all the macaroni, and cheese. And I hadn't been in a Walmart in an aisle. Control yourself, Mental.
Funniest thing.
Yeah, he's having issues. Our producer Mental is having a mental breakdown.
of you like just
right?
hanging out in this big wall of mac
It was
and
the
cheese.
weirdest thing, right? I haven't been in a grocery. I never go to grocery stores, right? You order everything, so whatever. It doesn't really matter why. But I'm in the store and I'm looking. I'm like, oh wow, this is what a cheese.
They have white mac and cheese. They have
Well,
Annie's
check
mac
this
and
out.
cheese. They have
You've
Kraft.
heard of shrinkflation, right? Everybody knows what shrinkflation is. So they've got Kraft mac. We all know what a Kraft macaroni and cheese box looks like. What is it? $2 for a box? I don't know, $1.99 or something like that. Next to the Kraft macaroni and cheese box,
They have
is
Walmart macaroni
Cheetos.
and cheese. Oh,
they have Cheetos brand macaroni and cheese.
oh my god!
It's branded Cheetos. Now, here's the thing, though, right? The Kraft macaroni and cheese is like 13 ounces of net weight. You read the little small print, and it's $1.99.
I love that you stood in Walmart.
I had
like,
nothing else to do.
red
I'm like
macaroni
waiting for
boxes.
my wife. I'm walking around. I'm going, what? And like, but I noticed the thing
Sure
that
you are.
struck me was the fact that there exists a Cheetos brand macaroni. Who's going to feed their kids Cheetos macaroni and cheese? So, anyways, Cheetos macaroni and cheese. There it is with Chester Cheetah on it, and the box is bigger than the Kraft box,
Mhm.
but the price was about a third less. It was like $1.60 a box, but the net weight was like 4 or 5 ounces less.
There was a Porsche on the box. Please tell me.
I wish there was a Porsche on the box, but the net weight was less, but the box was bigger,
Yeah.
and the price was less. So you were paying less for the bigger box that had less stuff in there.
They got to pay Chester. I mean, that mascot, that whole thing, marketing, it costs money.
So
costs a lot of
up
money.
next
That
on
way they
Dur
can-
or
that way-
marketing.
That way they can make No Man's Land 2 coming out in theaters.
JP,
I do
come,
like-
come by the club and I'll give you a few cooking tidbits. You won't have to worry.
Chef is
You
going to
gonna,
get
you gonna
cooking
make me
tidbits.
Chester Cheetah macaroni and cheese?
Do you have a custom mac and cheese recipe? that-
Chef, are you in the
Oh,
same
I-
room? Do you know what's going
Dude, I
on
bet
here?
it's amazing.
Chef,
I-
our good friend Chef is channeling
and
our
when
president right now.
And when you
What are you
come,
talking about?
and when you come to Container Park and you see the Dur or Die Studios, do not let that.
It's not Dur or Die Studios. This is
So
Rami
the
Studios.
Rami Studios. Do not let that deter you from getting the super hot Cheetos sandwich across the street at one of our favorite
This
establishments
They
here
do
in
have a
Container
Cheeto
Park.
sandwich across the street. On the other, what is the name of that place? Sorry, guys.
I don't know. We
Across-
just go over there. We say, "Hey,
come to
we're
Vegas. You'll
Shout out
get
to
a Cheeto
the bar
sandwich.
across the plaza from us. We
This-
can't remember the name. Sorry.
Yeah.
So look, in No Man's Land, right? First of all, terrible title.
It really is.
What does that have to do? I don't know. He does say one of the best lines ever, which is, "I don't steal that Italian trash."
Yeah, exactly. He references it's a 512 BBI, and he's like, "Oh, that's a pretty nice car." And he goes, "It's Italian trash."
Yeah, I actually tried to quote that line on Instagram, and I got a warning for hate speech or something. Yeah.
Wow.
Duane Wik, the racist alt-right channel, Wik's Garage. Go hit.
I do
subscribe
hate
and like on
Ferraris.
that.
Well, actually, Ferraris from a mechanical standpoint are trash. They're
Facts.
absolutely trash.
And on that note, that's been another episode of Dur or Die.
Sorry
Hit the
for you
subscribe,
Ferrari
like,
owners.
and notification button. Now, thanks for hanging out, you guys.
Do I want a 308? Yes.
Of course he does. Who doesn't? They're garbage.
We're all
We're leaving.
middle-aged
The
men.
show's over.
We grew up watching Magnum
We're
PI. Of
ending
course
the
we do.
show. End it now. It's done.
Thanks for watching.
Thank your
Subscribe,
guest.
like.
Thank your guest.
No, I don't like them.
No, they're on the
hit
screen.
subscribe.
Do it
They're on
anyway.
it's the guy and the other one. Jason Adine.
Aldine.
You got it. You didn't even get the famous.
I know so much about. Yeah, and then Chef from Vegas Auto Fest. Thanks
Chef,
for coming out, guys.
Chef, do you have Instagram?
Go to at Vegas Auto Fest.
At Vegas.
Show us
Auto
your
Fest.
shirt, Chef. Camera's over here.
Make sure you stay in frame, Chef.
There you go.
Yeah, you're in frame. You're
there
good.
You go.
There you
Okay,
go. That's perfect, Chef.
Nice.
Good job.
Excellent. Nice
All right,
work,
well
guys.
done.
All right, we will see you on the next episode of Dur or Die. Thanks for hanging out, guys.